everybody, and welcome. This is Nathan on Shuffle, and this is today's episode of New Music Friday. Today is October 22nd, 2021, and this is the show where I give you guys the latest in progressive rock news. I do my top 5 headlines for the week and give a little bit of an update for the week in my channel and what's coming up. So hopefully you guys enjoy the items I have today. I think it's a pretty good lineup of interesting things by some pretty notable modern prog groups. So I'm pretty excited today to get into it and to talk about some of these things. And so hopefully you guys will join me on this journey and you'll be excited about something on this list, you know. First, number 1 headline today is the new release of Dream Theater's album A View from the Top of the World. I'm a huge Dream Theater fan. They're one of the main modern prog bands that kind of brought me into the genre. Really, in hearing Scenes from Memory really kind of sparked something in me and caused me to really like this kind of music when I was first exploring more modern prog music. So I'm always excited when there's a new Dream Theater album being released. And so today's release date, I should be getting my vinyl pre-order soon, so that's really exciting, and I plan to review the album. Probably will see that review pop up early next week is what I'm planning. I still got to listen to the album a few times to really be able to give my thoughts on it and give a good review, but I'm excited to do that. But yeah, today's the release. It's a release by Inside Out Music. There's 7 tracks on the album. It sounds like from interviews and from things I've read about the album that the band kind of went in the studio with not really any preconceived ideas. They just kind of wanted to come in and just whatever came out was going to come out. And so they wanted something really progressive and really them. You know, I think it was they went into the studio a little earlier than they usually would schedule to do so because of COVID and everything. They weren't able to do their touring that they had planned. So instead they kind of decided to craft an album and get together in the studio instead. And so this is the album that came out. And from a lot of early reviews and things, I'm hearing some pretty positive feedback. Kind of the message that I get from the things I've read about it is perhaps that it's not really doing anything revolutionary. It's kind of what you'd expect from Dream Theater, but it's done really well. And so that's really exciting to me. I'm on board for that. I think that's going to be really fun. I know that there's a track. I heard John Petrucci in an interview kind of talk about how 2 things he kind of wanted to do going into this was do a song in a major key. So there's kind of a Russian-inspired, Boston-inspired song that's more in a major key than what they usually do. So that's kind of an interesting development in their sound that they wanted to put forth on this album. And then they wanted to do a big kind of monster epic, and that's the title track that ends the album is going to be that big epic, kind of along the lines of like an Octavarium. So really sounds like a cool construction of an album. And also I wanted to mention as part of this update is they're doing some kind of virtual album launch event on Saturday, tomorrow, October 23rd. There's going to be a live Q&A with the band, online premiere of their Digging for a Spark studio documentary, a conversation with engineer and mixing wizards Jimmy T and Andy Sneap, fan and band trivia, chance to win prizes. So a big event kind of in celebration of the release of this album. So that's at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. BST, 8 p.m. CET. So look that up. Go on. It's going to be on Dream Theater's YouTube, so you can kind of see what time that works out to in your time zone. So should be a really cool experience if you're really a huge Dream Theater fan and are excited about this release. So I'm excited to dive into it. I really like what I'm hearing. I hear that it's very heavy, very progressive in parts. It's really them just going all out, in their style. I feel like Distance Over Time, the album that came before this one, was a little bit more restrained. They were trying to do what they do, but in a smaller package, perhaps kind of focusing on more concise songs. It sounds like they kind of decided to not do that this time and to just kind of throw that out the window and just release what came out. And so it sounds like there's a lot of great proggy elements. And so this is going to be a good album, I'm sure, and I'll be doing a full-on review once I've able to hear it a few times and really give my assessment. So hopefully you guys will look forward to that review And so that's that news. All right, let's get into item number 2 that I'm really excited about. The number 2 headline is the new Big Big Train album announcement. At first, I thought this was just going to be a news item about their new single, which came out called Made from Sunshine. Came out a couple days ago. Really beautiful song that I really enjoyed. But there's bigger news that came out just yesterday that Big Big Train is actually releasing a full album. They just released an album, Common Ground, a few months ago. So this is kind of surprising news that they're doing such a quick turnaround of a new album. This is going to come out on January 28th. The album's called Welcome to the Planet, and it's going to feature the 3 singles that have been released over the past several weeks. The first was The Connection Plan, then Lanterna, and then this new one, Made from Sunshine, which is the opening track on the album. So it's a really interesting concept that I thought it was just going to be these kind of individual singles and that they wouldn't really make an album out of them, but it sounds like they're compiling them all into this kind of main album, and it should be a really cool package. I've liked all of the singles that have come out so far, and I think part of what they wanted to do with this one was to kind of solidify their new lineup. You know, Common Ground kind of was focused on this core 4 group that kind of survived through all the lineup changes and through, you know, the pandemic setbacks and all this stuff. You kind of had Greg Sponton, David Lungden, Nick DiVirgilio, and Rick Soldierbloom. And that was kind of the core 4, but now they've brought on a few other people to kind of fill in certain spots. And I feel like this album kind of signifies a lot of their contributions. Of course, a lot of them were featured also on Common Ground in different capacities, but this feels like a more collaborative effort even than that was. So the new members are Carly Bryant on keyboard, who gets her first Big Big Train writing credit and lead vocal on the title track on this upcoming album. And then there's more involvement from new members, violinist and vocalist Claire Lindley and guitarist Dave Foster. So that kind of rounds up this cool lineup that's going to be going out on tour together. And there's a little intro video about the album, kind of announcing it, that shows their chemistry and vibe. I think it's a really exciting group and a really exciting time for the band. And so this sounds like a really cool little collection of music. Now, will this be kind of like Second Brightest Star, which came out close after Grimsbound? It almost felt to me like, even though excellent and had a lot of great songs on it, it felt a little bit more like kind of almost a bonus disc to Grimsbound and Folklore. You know, it was really well crafted and really well done. Maybe this will kind of feel that way, where it's kind of these additional singles, or maybe it'll feel like a cohesive album on its own that can stand on its own legs. We'll kind of have to see what comes out. But from kind of the announcement, it sounds like there's a lot to be excited about. Like I said, the singles that have already been released are all great. And then there's kind of some interesting, it says there's a winter theme song, Proper Jack Froster, Bittersweet Tale of Childhood, a delicate acoustic number, Capitoline Venus, the beautiful Oaken Stone, and a pair of dazzling instrumentals, Room with No Ceiling and Bats in the Belfry, written by Rickard and Nick DiVirgilio. So really sounds like there's a lot going on here. They really had an abundance of creativity, it sounds like, and probably sparked by the pandemic and them kind of being forced into the state where they were just kind of unable to tour yet, but had a lot of brimming excitement for the new upcoming tour and for new music. So I think that's what kind of birthed this album. And so I've already done my pre-orders. The pre-orders are up. I would urge you to go check that out and pre-order the album if you're into Big Big Train. Should be a special one, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to really be fun. All indications are that this is going to be a really great addition to their catalog. So please check that out. I was kind of hoping, they said there was an announcement coming. I was hoping maybe some US tour dates is kind of what I keep hoping for. They say that they're coming and they're kind of teasing that, but so far nothing on that front. But I'll take a new album. You know, that's even better news in some ways, because an album will last for a long time and be something of lasting enjoyment that I'm excited for. So I'm really excited for that, and hopefully it's a great one. I'm sure it will be. You know, their quality is fantastic, so really excited for that. So the number 3 headline, I included this as a headline last week, probably a bit prematurely, but I wanted to give it more of its due now that maybe a few more details have come out and a little bit more has been made about it. So my headline number 3 is The Deer Hunter and their release that's coming out today. It's a short film called Cycle 8 of the Indigo Child, and accompanying that short film is a soundtrack. And this went up for pre-order this week, on vinyl only, I think, and maybe various bundles and different color variants and that kind of thing. On their website, you can check that out. I pre-ordered my copy because I'm a Deer Hunter fanatic, and it's been a little bit difficult to kind of comb through the information and try to figure out what's exactly on this album. Is it a full album? Is it, what's going to be on the album? Is it songs by the band? Is it more like a cinematic soundscape, or what's going on with it? And I feel like it's a little bit still kind of to be determined. I haven't delved into the film yet, but plan to soon. But from what I understand, from what I've heard from the band members and different people who kind of know the band and so forth, is that the Indigo Child is kind of their big upcoming project that they've been working on. And this is a bit of a prologue to kind of tease almost that bigger project that's coming. The main album will be coming out next year of the Indigo Child. And it sounds like it maybe is a spark of a series of albums or a lot of different things in this world that they've crafted. So that should be interesting. Kind of like how the Axe, there's several different Axe albums that all live in the same universe and tell a continuous story. I'm kind of assuming that Indigo Child might be similar, that there might be a string of albums that take place in that world and tell a continuous story of sorts. But this that's being released today is more of a prologue to that. It's kind of a first look into that experience. And it's a film, mostly a short film that kind of gets you into that world and gets you used to what you could come to expect on the upcoming Indigo Child project. And then the physical release, the vinyl, and I believe it should be out streaming as well, is a soundtrack to that film. And it is a lot of more of a cinematic soundtrack type music that goes with the film, but then a couple of singles, kind of band tracks that kind of foreshadow what you could expect for the upcoming Indigo Child album. So that's kind of the vibe I get of what we can expect here. So I've been excited. Just, I feel like it's been quite a while since their last full album. They did an EP a few years ago that was really great and really highly recommended. But ever since they've kind of finished the Axe series, I kind of have wanted to see a full-length album and a new project. And it looks like this is going to fit the bill. It seems like an exciting project. And this is kind of the first look into kind of the mindset of the band and this new iteration of sorts. What kind of musical framework they're working in right now. And so that should be exciting. I recommend checking it out. It seems like the film is on a platform called Dust, kind of a streaming platform that does a lot of maybe indie type sci-fi films, short films, and it seems like it's going to be available on that. I believe it's for free. I don't think it's a paid subscription or anything. I think you're able to, log on and view it. And then, of course, there's the soundtrack that accompanies it. So hopefully you guys will check that out. I'll probably do some kind of short review or something around it. I'm not quite sure yet. Like I said, I haven't really delved deep into it, but I just wanted to announce it as a news item so you guys can go check it out and experience it, because they're such a great band and I think they deserve to be heard. And they're so creative and great storytellers. Casey Krasinsko with the Axe album just told such an epic story. And that's part of why those albums are so successful to me. And it feels like this is him playing into his strengths and doing that sort of thing in a new world. So I'm really excited about it. That's why kind of a doubled up on that news a little bit from last week, but I think it was worth doing because there's just a lot here and it should be pretty interesting. So let's move on to headline number 4. This is something I heard earlier in the week. I did talk about Symphony X last week, and this is somewhat related. Symphony X from last week, they're going on tour with Haken, a North American tour that seems pretty exciting. This is news about Michael Romeo, who is the guitarist of Symphony X. He's signed with Inside Out for his upcoming new album, War of the Worlds Part 2, which War of the Worlds Part 1 was his previous solo album that came out a year or two ago, I believe. But this new one's coming out February 4th, kind of a concept record, telling a continuous story. He's bringing back a lot of players from that album, and it sounds like it should be a really cool progressive metal release that should be really exciting for fans of that genre. He's released kind of an audio snippet of what to expect from that, so please check that out. I'll put it in the description as well, so you can click and check that out. But just wanted to mention that because it sounds like it could be a cool release from Inside Out Records. It says he's welcomed several returning players, drummer John Macaluso, bassist John J.D. De Servio, and then working with the Croatian singer Dino Jelusic. Really exciting music, should be really fun for all fans of progressive metal, obviously. Something to really look into and be excited for if you're a fan of Michael Romeo. And then finally, as headline number 5, the last thing I saw is King Crimson. They announced a new live album, Music is Our Friend, live in Washington and Albany 2021, coming out on November 19th. It's a 2-disc set forming part of the band's official bootleg series, and was recorded at the band shows at the Anthem in Washington and at the Egg in Albany on this recent tour. So it features the whole set of the Washington show and then 4 additional songs that were recorded in Albany. So that should be really exciting for King Crimson fans. I wasn't able to attend this tour. It was on a date that didn't quite work out, even though it did come kind of near me. Would have been a fun one maybe to go to with my dad. I will admit that I'm not the hugest King Crimson fan. They're not really one of my favorite bands, but I do like specific works by them, and I appreciate their place in prog rock history. But I'm totally interested in this live set. I think that could be really cool, and it sounds like kind of a cool, almost greatest hits type collection from across their catalog. A lot of people gave great reviews to this concert. Sounds like it was really a strong one, so this should be a really cool double disc release that should be of interest to a lot of people out there. It features a restored middle section of Lark's Tongue and Aspic Part 1 that's not been played since 1973, substantial keyboard arrangements, Tony Levin on upright bass during Neurotica, giving that piece an extra swing, emotional set closer of Starless, and an immensely powerful 21st Century Schizoid Man as an encore. So a lot of cool nuggets there, a lot of cool things going on. I love Lark's Tongue and Aspic. I love anything off Red, so of course Starless is a highlight for me of their career. Love 21st Century Schizoid Man, just total classic. Anything off of that debut record is really fantastic. You know, they kind of almost originated the genre with that record, so should be a fantastic release. They're a fantastic group. So that's the news today. Really excited to be able to talk about that with you guys. I do want to mention the weekly top 5. I used to make it its own show, but it was kind of complicated to put the music in and so forth. So I decided to kind of scrap that a bit and put the weekly top 5 within the description here. So you could just click on the YouTube links. Maybe I'll even make a playlist of different tracks that I thought were kind of cool and exciting this week. Some of them related to the news items that I did this week. So if you're interested in listening to some newer progressive music, go and check those tracks out. They're definitely in the description. I did want to highlight one of them, Worlds Beyond by PFM, the classic Italian prog group. They have a new album out today that I wanted to highlight. I almost put it as a news item, but I was excited about all these other items, and I did talk about it earlier on a previous New Music Friday. But PFM are incredible, and their new album sounds like it's going to be, I haven't heard it yet, but it sounds like a lot of people are really enjoying it. It's kind of almost a concept record, I believe, based on like sci-fi concepts. And so I'm really interested to hear that. Their latest single was really strong. Kind of, I believe it was an instrumental, but really, really cool, called Worlds Beyond. At least that's the English version. So that'll be linked in the description to go ahead and check out that track and check out the whole album if you have it available to you. A lot of great releases today. It seems like a pretty pretty big day for prog rock releases and music in general. So really excited for the genre, really excited for what's coming. Hopefully you guys are excited about something that I discussed today. So this was a great week on the channel, I thought. It was really great Janet Reacts that we did to Shine On You Crazy Diamond by Pink Floyd. Got a lot of attention and views. I'm really grateful for all you guys who checked that one out. We did kind of the debut of a new show, Classic Albums 101, that we were really excited about this past week. I wasn't sure what the reception would be for it, since it's a brand new concept and idea of where we discuss kind of a classic album after my wife hears it for the first time. She doesn't typically listen to full albums, so this is kind of a new experience for her. And we're excited to get into these albums and talk about our impressions about them. The first one is of Abbey Road by the Beatles. And so those we plan to release every 2 to 3 weeks or so. And so I'm really excited. The next one will be Tommy by The Who that we hope to record soon. So that should be cool. Like I mentioned, the Dream Theater review will be out next week for sure. I'm really excited to delve into that. In fact, as a bit of a tease, I'm going to do a whole Dream Theater album rankings next month, probably late next month, because I have to spend time listening and assessing the albums. But I'm really excited for that show. It should be a good one. And I'm doing a Yes ranking show, which will come out this upcoming week. I'm really excited to put it together and to bring it out there to you guys. I know I've been teasing it a bit, and I know I have a lot of fans of Yes in my group here. So there's a lot of pressure on me. I hope you guys understand that it's just my preference. It's not like the be-all, end-all list, because I know everybody's going to have their own list, and they're going to quibble with, oh, you placed the Quest too high, oh, you didn't, place this one high enough. Things like that, I'm sure, are going to come up in the comments, but I just hope you'll be respectful of my feelings on the albums, because it's just personal. It's just my own list, and I recognize that not everyone feels exactly the same way about this music as me. So definitely cool. I hope you guys will be posting your own ranking lists and talking and discussing it in the comments. So I'm hoping that'll be a really strong video. Really trying to put a lot of care into it. I've really spent a lot of time listening to these Yes albums and trying to really assess them critically in the best way I can. So really excited to put that together for you guys. So thank you guys so much for all you do for the channel. Thank you guys for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. I would really appreciate it. I do these videos all the time. I do this weekly New Music Friday. I have videos with Jana. I do my own solo reviews and recommendations for new music. And I'm trying to make this just a hub for all things great music, really. And letting you guys pick and choose what type of music you want to hear me talk about. So I hope that's a good place for you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Please just enjoy the music, whatever you've got going on. Feel free to mention in the comments how you feel about these different news items and what's exciting you in the world of prog. Maybe mention some new releases that you've enjoyed. I really am trying to kind of find some new releases to talk about in some upcoming New Music Shuffle type shows. So any of that would be appreciated. So thank you guys so much. I know I've probably gone on too long once again, but I'm glad for those of you who stuck around, and hopefully I'll see you in a future video. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.